I'm just gonna say I think it's
So
pretty divisive when we talk about Pattinson's Batman and Bruce Wayne, because I know some of us really like both versions, but some of us only like one over the other. And personally, I'm kind of in the boat where I really liked his Batman, but I don't want to say I disliked his Bruce Wayne because we didn't see enough. So I'll say I don't know how I feel about it still. But the thing that concerns me about that is because they put so little Bruce Wayne in this. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to build the arc of him becoming like the Bruce Wayne we know, being more confident in the Bruce Wayne persona, um, being the billionaire playboy philanthropist. But it worries me because in the second movie, they're probably gonna delegate more time to the Bruce Wayne character than the Batman character because I would say they spent around 80% of this runtime in the Batman dedicated to Batman. And the other 20% is everything that doesn't involve Batman or includes just Bruce Wayne. And
Okay,
it's more of a concern for the future rather than
that's
like I
fair.
would say an actual problem is
No,
where
I see where you're going. Okay, here's a
yeah.
hot take. Bruce Wayne wasn't in this movie at all.
He
It was
really
all
I
straight
wasn't.
agree
Batman. It
No,
was
completely.
I
all straight
agree.
Batman. There
Yeah,
was
I
no
see
Bruce Wayne.
that.
He did take off his mask, but he was still acting as Batman. Even so, when he takes off his mask, he's with Alfred. All
He's
he's
fine.
focusing on is the riddles, the mystery, all of that. That's all he's doing. And the funeral scene, all
Mm.
he's doing is trying to figure out what's going on. He's listening to the cops, basically. That's all he's doing. He's trying to get information. Then all that other drama starts to happen between the cops. So for me, there was no Bruce Wayne at all from this movie. So
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with like what Leo said. It didn't
Thank
kill it,
you.
but I think it took us by surprise because I don't think really any of us were really expecting it at all. But I'm not against the approach that Matt is trying to take. I just want to see more of it, which just leaves me more curious, but also kind of cautious at the same time because who knows like what this type of Bruce Wayne will turn out to be. Sorry, Amanda.
No, no, no. I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying that, like, I agree. It didn't hurt it for me. For me, it's just like it's a look, and I don't want to say that like the only one that really looks like Bruce Wayne to me is Ben Affleck. Like he can just stand there, and I'm sorry, but he looked like it's an
Okay.
older Bruce, and I get that. Like, don't get me wrong, they're very different. You can't compare them. I 100% get it. So for me, with Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne's, like I didn't even care that there wasn't enough Bruce in here because his portrayal as Batman is like freaking god tier. It's just so good. And like he's running away from Bruce Wayne. He doesn't want to be that person. That's the way I interpreted it, right? So it's all about him as Batman, and he's broken obviously. So he's trying to navigate what he's meant to do. What's his purpose in Gotham City? And I think it was just really awesome that they did that. I really hope Robert Pattinson grows into this role because I would love to see how it turns out. Um, but yeah, I really think the emotional connection there was to Batman instead of Bruce Wayne, and I think that's also important. And again, it's different. It's something we haven't seen before, and like that's why it just vibes with me. Hey Joey.
The the only thing that I don't want to say turned me off, but like kind of rubbed me the wrong way was I get what they were trying to go for with there's no real distinction between Batman and Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne is Batman. That's who he is. Even the Riddler says it. When you put on that mask, that's who you truly are. I get what they were going for, but in context of people just trying to figure out who this guy is, he doesn't make it very hard between having no chin strap, using the same voice, and they even mention him being completely buried from the rest of the world. I don't know how no one even considers him. And I don't know. That's just a nitpick with like a lot of CBMs in general when it comes to like no chin straps. I've said the same in like some television stuff too. That's unless they're trying to, they don't really care about their identity.
I
But
feel it's more of like, sorry, I feel like it's more of like an experience at that point because he's like such an early Bruce that he doesn't even think of doing that. You know what I mean? To like hide that much because he's literally just Batman in that case. I don't think it's like even clicking. You know what I mean? I don't think it's more like the director's choice. But yeah, Deb, sorry.
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm in the minority. I thought Pattinson's Bruce was awesome, and I know I'm probably definitely among the few here. But you look at this guy. He's a man. This is a man who's still a boy. He's still going through the ramifications of being an orphan and being alone. He's just this like petulant, sad kid who only knows how to use his fists, and until he almost loses Alfred, and you see him like completely like come out of his shell a little bit and finally reach out for help, which was an amazing scene.
That's why I liked it, by the way.
It was awesome. And going back just to kind of touch on what you guys were talking about, this is year 2 Batman, just like you said, Amanda. I loved that we saw Batman make mistakes. Batman's not perfect. He's not a perfect hero. He just started. You saw that, and I love how vulnerable he was, and that reflects on kind of Bruce Wayne's character a little bit. But when he kind of got the L and the law mixed up, that was great, man. I really enjoyed that element of Batman where he's not this like flawless character. I love how they were able to kind of humanize this not only Batman but Bruce Wayne, period. And I think the biggest thing that people that are against this, what they're missing is that Batman at its core is a tragedy. Bruce Wayne's character, especially at his age, should be wrecked, should be fucked up emotionally, psychologically. Like, come on, guys, what are we talking about here? The dude is literally depressed. He's got anxiety through the wazoo. And that's the vibe I got with Pattinson's Batman, and that's the true essence of Batman. If he wasn't, that means Gotham is free of crime, and there's really no movie here. So I thought Pattinson in the Batman suit looked terrific, just like you guys said. I would put him third behind Bale and Keaton at the moment, but I think he definitely has potential to be the best Batman ever. And I think the point of Batman and that like traumatized look of Bruce Wayne was crushed. Batman is a tragedy, and sorry, he's not. For me, this is my Batman. That he's not like this like amazing looking guy like dating models. Like I connected more. I related more to this Batman working in the mental health field way more than any of the other Batman characters.
So I gotta say, while I really did like his Batman, progressively throughout the film, I felt less and less worried for him. It felt like he got more and more plot armor as the film went on, to a point where he talks about, I don't care if I die, Alfred. I'm like, bro, you can't die. You took a fucking face plant to a bridge, you took a shotgun to the chest, and you walk off 50 fucking machine gun bullets to every single point of your body at one point. And I think that's where the disconnect is they're trying to go for this grounded take, but at the end of the day, all it takes is fixing a few things in pre-production to change out a bridge for something else. Like, I don't know.
That's the whole point, Ryan. The whole point of Batman, his superpower is the will. It is his willpower to go beyond.
The face plants into the bridge though, and he goes like back.
I agree. Come on, we're talking about a comic book movie in the end here, right?
No,
yes.
I don't disagree, but like that's my point. It's as simple as changing something in pre-production to not make it a bridge. It's those little things that just takes the realism out of it. And
I thought this movie was as real as ever. You see Batman helping ordinary people for the first time on live screen ever. Like, this was the most humanized Batman movie ever.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Let's keep in mind that realism in a comic book movie is different from realism.
No, but
it
should be grounded in real when you say that's what you're going for.
But it is grounded in realism.
But it isn't when you take a face plant or a bomb to the face with no mark.
So you think
I agree though.
No, like takes a bomb to the face. He takes
that.
I agree.
To
the face.
Because I agree with that because like even like I remember it, like it just like clean cut, like it's clean. He doesn't have any scrapes or anything like that. He's not damaged when like a blow to like that happens. And like I understand that. I get what he's saying.
Scars on his body?
I'm not saying those were there before. Don't mix up what we're saying. I'm saying in that case with the bomb specifically, you don't really see anything on him. And I understand what he's saying with that because you have to have that connect.
I feel like that's where the disconnect is because everything previous to the third act, he goes headfirst into a bridge. He takes a bomb to the face. He goes through a hallway worth of machine guns being blasted into his chest. And then at the end of the day, it's a shotgun blast to the chest, one singular shotgun blast that almost takes him out to the point where he has to inject himself with like Bane semen or some shit. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's what it took you. I'm like, bro, you took a bridge to the face and a bomb to the face and machine guns to your entire body, and one shotgun blast to the chest is literally what caused it.
Low key, I also think that it's the PG-13 rating that held it back to show that as well. Like there was violence in this movie, but to actually show like, the blood and stuff, like.
But the guy's
I get what you're saying, right?
He's looking at the DA with the timer going down with 4 seconds. The bomb is as big as his fucking torso, and he just stands there. Like, I agree with Deebs. I like that he's making mistakes, but like, homie walks it off like it's nothing. He wakes up in the fucking police station. By the way, I also don't know why no one just took his mask off. He was knocked out. That seemed very odd that they all decided to do it once he was awake, but you know what? That's just them developing the plot at that point. That's where my disconnect with like this Batman and what would actually kill him, because by the time he gets to him doing the sacrifice moment and cutting the power cable and dropping into the water, I'm like, he's not going to die. I absolutely, it was a cool and powerful moment because of what it meant for Gotham, but it wasn't cool and empowering for what it meant to Batman as a whole. I feel
it's
like
the consequences that don't add up. That's it. It's like that's what doesn't add up afterwards.
But I agree with that. I think he's a great Batman.
Yeah,
I think he's a great Batman.
Matt, I love the second half of that comment, fam. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
What about you, Lo?
What about you, Lo?
Lo. What about you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what? What are we talking about? Robert Pattinson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, look. I mean, a lot of what you guys said, it resonates, and my thing is, I totally understand that the approach to this story was that the Batman, it's all Batman, he's broken, he's depressed. I totally get that, but personally, and I think thematically and even realistically, there's got to be a semblance of a person in there. For example, what I thought was really powerful in the beginning and they lost its way with it. You guys remember when he looked at the mayor's kid and it was like he was looking at himself practically? I thought thematically that was incredible. And then at the funeral, you know, he just does the same thing. He just looks at him broodingly. And I get it. Look, I get it. Like Robert Pattinson is really good at being depressed and brooding, but for having him brooding for damn near 3 hours, it got a little, it just kind of dug me into the ground in the sense that
that's what Batman
I
does.
need to see a little bit of brood.
Okay.
Hold on, real quick, guys, real quick. In my opinion, like story-wise, even if he just said something to the kid like, hey, you know, you're going to be all right. Like one line or like one, like, you know, he put his hand on his shoulder, like, you're going to be all right, son. Or
but
something.
he's
like,
Batman, bro. He doesn't say shit. He just broods. Oh my God.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is the fact that he didn't say anything to the kid at that moment.
But,
I mean, he saves him, but I think I needed a little bit of like levity there. And then also, I'm going to let you go, Dobbs, but like to me, Alfred is such a pinnacle like he's a pillar of Bruce's and Batman's character. I felt like Andy Serkis was really like underutilized here, and I also feel like I get it. He's like Bruce is sad, whatever, but I just don't like the disconnect with him and Alfred. Like they're supposed to be a team. And if anything, he's more fucking buddy with Gordon than he is with Alfred, and that really bothered me. And I don't like the fact that he got all like sassy with him, like you're not my father. It's like, dude, like. It just, that kind of took me out of it. And the only time he gave a shit about Alfred was until he was halfway blown to hell. And I maybe story-wise, that was important for him to notice that. But I just feel like there was such a disconnect with their characters that, like, when Alfred did damn near get blown to hell, I almost didn't care because Alfred's barely in the movie. And I think that if they wanted to make us care about that moment, they needed to write Alfred in better, in my opinion. So that's my biggest gripe with the Bruce Wayne, Pattinson, and honestly a lot of lack of Alfred, in my opinion.
Amanda, before we get,
sorry, I have to.
Go ahead, dude.
I was gonna answer too, so go ahead.
Like, for me, this is about a Bruce Wayne that's in this slow process of recovering from depression. He's recovering from that isolated state, man. This is how I saw it. Like, he's taking these baby steps to recovery, that he's literally trying to find something worth living for. Yeah, he's got Alfred. He finally learns that maybe Selena could be it down the line. And I think it's that, and knowing that his efforts can make a positive impact, not just on Gotham, but, you know, building connections with others. Like, that's the mindset, that emotional state that I saw this Bruce Wayne for me. Like, he's clearly, like, literally ground zero. He is still so messed up that we are taking, you know, in the sequel, we're going to address that more and more and more. That's how I took that.
Also, but actually, can I ask you, Dibes, like, did the lack of Alfred not bother you?
Yeah, so when we get to weaknesses, that will.
Okay, I was gonna say Alfred is not in this movie. Like, that killed me.
I do have to. Sorry, right? I just have to touch upon a point that Loretto said. I do think the reason why he's closer to Gordon is because he just loses himself in Batman, and obviously that's like a weakness that Alfred's not in it. But I do think that that's where the focus was while he was trying to struggle and like through his depression. So he kind of had that as an outlet, because obviously Alfred knows him as Bruce Wayne, like he practically raised him, so he doesn't want anything to do with that. And then I understood the emotional like connection there when he almost lost Alfred. It kind of pulled him back and grounded him. So Alfred's kind of like that anchor for him in reality, so he doesn't really get lost in Batman. And that's how I took that. But I get what you're saying.
Before we move on, I just want to touch about this comment. Actually, at the end of the movie, the mayor actually hesitates to take his hand, and it's the boy from the beginning, the mayor's son, who takes his hand and starts the continuation of following Batman through the water. So that
Ryan, all the more though, I feel like they should have had a dialogue. Like I said, like,
oh no, yeah, like
he should have said something to the kid. Like,
in the beginning. That's at the funeral and at the end, and no words are said between.
But I do think Bruce respects the hell out of Gordon way more than Alfred, because he sees Gordon as trying to do something. He sees him as like one of the few that are actually trying to make Gotham better. And I think actions speak louder than words. I think Bruce is truly not in a place until that scene to actually open himself up to Alfred. And I think that's all part of it.
I think it's funny because your criticism on that part, Loretto, is probably one of my positives. The reason why he didn't talk to the boy is because he's so damaged. He doesn't believe that he has the words to say to him, because I just feel like that's one of the reasons why he didn't. Now, along the lines where we're all talking about, he should definitely say something to someone that's gone through what he's gone through. But for right now, he's still healing. Psychologically, he is still healing. And that's one of the things that I like that there was a lack of for Alfred as well. He's trying to disconnect to something so familiar to what died a long time ago with his parents. He doesn't want that connection. He wants something far from that. That's why he's putting his life on the job more so than relationships. That's why he doesn't want to become Bruce Wayne anymore. So for me, that's a positive, but I do understand where you're coming from with that.
Can I ask you guys though? And this is another reason why I think, like, pace-wise, I think it suffered and it hurts, like, especially casual fans. Like, all of us are nerds, all of us are geeks, and we care about this, right? But imagine like casual fans that just to see a broken Bruce Wayne for 3 hours or whatever. I mean, that's not the exact time, but I'm just saying for all of the casual fans that are suffering with him for 3 hours. Don't you guys think like it probably would have serviced the story better to just condense it down a little bit?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but my dad is a casual. He loves the movie. He wants to go see it again. He asked me if he wanted to go see it again today. So
my dad was the opposite. My dad said it was.
That's why I said I can't.
No. I know. So it's funny you mentioned that because I saw it with my dad and he said, "Wow, that was boring." I was like, and I'm like, honestly. I get it, but it's kind of weird. I get it, but also it's the same thing that I've been looking for Batman, but also it's not exactly what I wanted. I feel like the way I kind of was hoping we get Bruce Wayne out of this is we had a Bruce Wayne Batman that acted the way Bruce Wayne does in this movie, but he knows how to flip a switch and turn into Bruce Wayne when he needs to be. But we still get that dark and gritty because
So you want something like year
no,
four
I
instead of
but
year two.
see,
Not there yet.
no, Deebs, that's my problem. I get that and I get what they're trying to do, but they showed so little of Bruce Wayne in this movie that there's going to be a point in the second or third movie where they dedicate at least more than half of the storyline to Bruce Wayne so we can get a better, clear picture. And ultimately, that's what I'm nervous about. I hope we don't get that, which is why I hope we got a little bit more in this. It's not a complaint. It's just like more of a, I hope it doesn't turn out to be like this.
So here's a question. Well, would you appreciate this movie more so if the future movies focused on Bruce Wayne a little bit more so?
No, so like, for example, I would have liked it a little bit more if when they went to the funeral for the mayor, he mentions how he's only going because he wants to see if the Riddler shows up, which is a good reason to go, but he acts like Batman at that entire thing. And I get what they're trying to go for, but I want to see a Batman who can switch on a dime to seem completely different and associate. But like that's the thing.
He's not. This is a Batman that's in a completely fragile state, man.
No,
this is not,
I know, dude, that's the problem. I
there.
totally get that. I just don't want them to call a Batman film in the future, but have it primarily focus on Bruce Wayne.
I think in the future, after this one specifically, they need to have a balance. They need to have a balance right out of the gate for the sequel. There needs to be some sort of growth and balance from the first one in order for us to actually connect with him. And that will happen. It's not like it won't happen. It has to happen, especially with the connection that he has with Alfred by the end of this. And there's growth by the end of this. Him carrying the kid, the last shot, all of that, hopeful, looking up to the sky. He's going to make that connection. Yeah. And have that distinction in the second one. He has to. It's like any good sequel. If it's going to be better, that means you have to focus on the Bruce Wayne persona. And they're going to do that and have him come out from the shadows. Huh? I see that. In that case, so I think like that'll happen in a positive way. I got to make you guys smile, man. We're not all sitting here rooting.
Batman is a tragedy. There's no winning in Batman. Everybody loses. Batman loses every single. Like The Dark Knight is a great movie. Yeah, he won. He still became the villain at the end of the movie. Like Batman is a tragedy. And I look at this. It's so interesting hearing you guys say that because I took this. You look at Batman and his reluctance to kind of open himself up to Selina. Like he is so much in a fragile state, in a traumatized state that he has no trust for anybody, even Alfred, other than Gordon. Yeah, I'll give you Gordon. But that's pretty much it. Like his circle of trust is Gordon, and that's it. And I've connected with that big time, absolutely big time. So I disagree with a lot. I actually think Bruce grew a lot, especially by the end of this movie, learning that he is going to become a beacon of hope. That there can be more than just vengeance. There could be more than just pain and physical brutality and vengeance. I actually completely disagree with a lot of these things.